Thank you, Madam President. We have heard story after story this past month about Hamas's brutal ground attacks on Israel. Hamas militants murdered Israelis and Americans alike as they stormed places from border towns to music festivals. Hamas didn't just attack from the ground. They continue to rain rockets upon Israel. These rockets have destroyed people's homes, ruptured their livelihoods, and taken their lives. Throughout this conflict, Israel's Iron Dome defense system has played a crucial role. The Iron Dome acts as a shield, detecting rockets and firing missiles to intercept them before they hit the ground. The United States has stood by Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, since the country's inception. We've always pledged our support in times of crisis. So it is critical that my colleagues and I on the Senate Appropriations Committee work together to ensure that Israel receives the defensive and offensive capabilities that it has requested from the United States. That includes replenishing the Iron Dome system so that Israel is able to protect its people from rocket attacks by terrorist groups. It includes replenishing Israel's David Sling system and investing in the development of the Iron Beam system. These defensive systems set Israel up for an effective response to the havoc that Hamas and Hezbollah continue to wreak. We must provide Israel with the time and resources that its government needs to eliminate those threats. But as we consider the aid that we will provide to Israel, we also need to consider the question: how do we better position the United States to support our allies, as well as bolster our own defense systems amid the escalating global threats? A few days after the heinous attacks on Israel, a bipartisan, bicameral congressional commission released its report on the strategic posture of the United States. This report, based on the consensus of respected national security experts from across the political spectrum, concluded that the United States will be woefully underprepared for the threats that we are facing. Our two-peer nuclear adversaries, Russia and China, they have dramatically expanded their nuclear forces over the decades. They continue to develop novel nuclear weapons and delivery systems. Meanwhile, the United States is barely keeping up with modernizing our nuclear forces. The report emphasized the need to grow our nuclear and conventional forces, and above all else, to expand our production capability, including our workforce, supply chain, and infrastructure. As senators, we regularly receive briefings and intelligence reports that clearly outline the threats that we face from actors like Russia and China. I've often said that if the American people had the access to more of this information themselves, they would better understand the nature and the severity of the threats that we face. Investment in national security, it would move to the top of their priority list. These events, the release of a disquieting defense report and the assault against our ally Israel, should serve as a wake-up call for the United States of America. We must expand our production capacity to meet the needs of our country. And if we don't expand our production capacity, we also won't be able to support our allies and our partners or supply them with the lethal aid that they desperately need. Building out our capacity so we can meet future threats, that's going to take time, and it's going to take resources. But we can start now, and we can start by making targeted investments in munitions production. The administration's supplemental request, it includes $25 billion just to replenish our own weapons stockpiles and expand the critical munition production capacity. Initiatives that, frankly, well, they should have already begun. Including this funding in the supplemental will be a step in the right direction. The supplemental request must bring together our goals of strengthening our own military readiness, supporting our troops in Europe and the Middle East, and providing our allies and our partners with lethal aid. I look forward to working with my colleagues to ensure that the supplemental includes these priorities. We have been asleep to changes in the global threat environment for too long, and now is the time to wake up. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.